I used to be the guy people pointed at and said, "He's fine, he's untouchable, he's got it all dialed in." Then a Tuesday hit me like a truck in the rain, and I found myself on the steps of my own building, in a suit that felt like wet paper, watching security walk past, as if I were part of the sidewalk. The board voted the takeover closed, and in 6 hours, the life I'd spent 3 decades building got repossessed by people who didn't even know why I started. Yeah, that happened. I stared at the glass facade and did the math on how long it would take to pry my name off with a crowbar, and that's when I heard her voice. You good, not a corporate tone, not fake concern. A woman with a cardboard square for an umbrella. A backpack mended more times than my reputation. Eyes set on finding the one hopeful detail in a messy picture. I'm Zara, she said. I went with the oldest lie in the book. I'm fine. She crouched so we were eye level. Nobody sits in a thunderstorm for fun. You hungry or just stubborn? I admitted. I had nowhere to go. My voice cracking in a way I hadn't allowed since my father's funeral. She offered a hand. I've got a place that's dry. Socks, too. You know that feeling when a stranger says something simple and a door opens inside your chest? I took her hand. We cut through Greyhaven's side streets past a bakery throwing warm light on the wet, past a bus stop where a couple argued with the map like it owed them money. Zara talked about the city like it had moods, which blocks looked safe, but weren't, which ones looked rough, but watched out for you. The warehouse she led me to had once been a boatworks. The door looked locked and wasn't. Inside, she had carved out a square of dignity. Blankets for walls, jars for candles, a camping stove on a crate, shelves from old fruit boxes. Home-ish, she said. Rule number 1 out here. When someone offers help, take it with gratitude. We ate soup that tasted like a truce. I said it out loud. I lost my company. What did you build? She asked, not impressed, not pitying, just curious. Software that made small businesses feel bigger. I said, then added quieter. And somewhere along the way, I made big business feel like the point. So help people again, she said like it was obvious. I muttered something about $12 billion. She smiled. Never lost that much. Did lose 2 parents and a stable address. Rock bottom isn't quicksand. It's concrete. You can build from it. That sentence lodged in me like a nail you don't see until you step on it. She had a notebook. Cracked spine pages crowded with diagrams. Pop-up kitchens that route restaurant leftovers into meals, a way to translate the nonsense of forms into plain language job training that starts with the skills people already use to survive. Her ideas had math. I said, if someone funded this. She shook her head. Not charity. Partnership or nothing. We shook on it. Equals on paper or not, we decided to be equals anyway. Morning started at the library. Zara had bartered 2 hours of computer time for wrangling the rush of returns. Watching her run a tiny economy without bragging about it, I realized I'd spent years selling the idea that I could add value while she just added it. We sketched an app called Bridgeway. Not a miracle, just a clean map to real help. On the walk back, she'd point out a clean alley with 1 exit, pretty as a disguise, or a messy block with 10 ways out. Options are safety. Greyhaven learned a new language for me. Which cafes slipped you day-old muffins if you washed a tray, which storage managers left an extra power strip for folks who needed to call caseworkers, which churches had job boards that weren't just theater. At Gus's Pizza on Harbor, the owner slid a box to Zara and said, "You're late, kid," then winked at me like kindness lands best when you pretend it isn't a big deal. Any friend of Zara's is under my crust protection. He laughed at his own pun. I did too. 10 days in, we had a prototype ugly enough to be honest. I called one investor who might still take my call. Elliot Park at Seabright. On video, he looked careful the way good surgeons look careful. I read the headlines, he said. Brutal. Educational, I said. Meet Zara. She's the reason to listen. She shared her screen. Resources by location and urgency, people you could text who had lived what you're living, safety features that didn't put a target on your back. Elliot asked the only question that matters. Who uses this tomorrow if I write a check today? So we ran a pilot at Harbor Commons. 50 profiles. The first week. Job connections that stuck, housing help that was more than a pamphlet, clinics that answered. But the magic wasn't the directory, it was the DMs. A woman named Luce messaged 3 others the night before a first shift and got a checklist only veterans of first days can write. A retired mechanic walked a rookie through what to say at the Union Hall. Peer support wasn't a feature. It was the point. We pivoted overnight. Profiles mattered, but with guardrails. Matching that prioritized lived experience. Safety that wasn't just a red button, but an actual plan. Harder to build, way more powerful. Elliot came to Greyhaven and sat with us in the library's sticky door glass room. Biggest risk, he asked. It came out of me without permission. Losing who we are the minute growth gets easy. He nodded. You just passed the only test that matters. He funded us quietly with terms that didn't sell our future by the pound. We rented an office 2 blocks from Harbor, in a brick space that still smelled like rope and rain. We hired by accident, when a Bridgeway user named Patricia kept showing up to help everyone else with forms and calls until the whole place ran better. You're already doing the job, Zara told her. We just owe you a badge. A documentary crew followed Patricia for a day. Apparently, the country likes watching ordinary people be extraordinary because our inbox started to ping like a pinball machine. Then the twist. 3 acquisition offers arrived like a dare. Titan Global with the biggest number, Macrosphere with the fastest timeline, Kindred Impact, with a smaller check and a promise that sounded like a vow. Titan met us so high the clouds had to RSVP. Your users are undermonetized, their guy said, sliding charts across glass like he was trading baseball cards of other people's lives. I could feel Zara go still. They're not a user base, I said. They're people we love, and you just told me what you'd do to them. Macrosphere's CEO said 200 cities in 18 months, standardize the human piece, automate the rest, category killer. Zara leaned in. If we systematize empathy, we kill it. The personal connection isn't waste, it is value. They blinked like she'd spoken poetry in a boardroom, which she had. Kindred met us at a table that had seen community dinners. Sarah Walsh listened more than she talked. When growth and goodness collide, what wins? She asked. Goodness, Zara said. And if your board pushes, I asked. Then we tell them to find a different sandbox. We don't build anything we wouldn't want used on our own families. The offer came with the only clauses that mattered. Program decisions stay with the people who built Bridgeway, impact over profit, isn't a slogan. It's a line in the contract, equity for everyone from Patricia up. We walked the pier in silence long enough for the gulls to give up on us. Money like that solves everything and nothing. 5 years from now, which decision lets us keep the lights on and still like the mirror? We chose Kindred. Here's the part movies skip. We still had bugs at 2 a.m. weeks where numbers scared us, a young dev showing me code I didn't fully grasp, and me saying good job with faith. We launched a fellowship, Train local leaders, give them the keys, get out of the way. Toronto's Amal built a circle for immigrant moms who needed everything all at once. Tulsa's Roe, a veteran with a coffee shop, did more therapy at a counter than most clinics. The state veteran office called then a federal one. Big doors opening, big strings attached. A senator with great hair floated an amendment. Share behavioral insights so programs could increase efficiency. Translation. Vacuum up the soft parts of people's stories that don't belong to anyone but them. Some early investors said that's the cost of playing big. Kindred said, decide for yourselves and we'll own it with you. We held a town hall. Users, staff, partners in folding chairs. A man who slept behind our office 2 winters spoke about what it meant when one volunteer texted him good morning. A mom said Bridgeway made her feel less like a case file and more like a person again. We voted. It wasn't close. We told the senator no. We risked the contract. Another office called. Smaller, honest, no data grabs. And here we are. Numbers look good on paper. Connections in the hundreds of thousands cities across the map. But the real thing is watching someone who came to us for help become the person others call when their life tilts. It's Luce mentoring her new hire Amal, paying 2 moms to run childcare at job fairs Row, handing a coffee to a kid who only came to use the bathroom, and leaving with a haircut and a plan. Do I miss the old life? I miss solving problems with a signature. I don't miss the emptiness of thinking that made me useful. We're staring at another national expansion. Clean, this time respectful, still dangerous, because scale always is. Say yes and risk sanding down the edges that make us human. Say no and risk moving too slow while people wait on hold with lives that cannot hold. So tell me, if you were me, would you trust the machine not to chew up the thing that saved you? Or would you choose the slower path on purpose? Drop your take in the comments. What did we get right? What would you have done? Where have you seen kindness beat efficiency in the real world? And if this hit anything tender, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. We're building Bridgeway one voice at a time, and yours counts more than you think.